Hey everybody, and welcome to my garage. This is episode 5 in our reflooring project. In this episode you're going to see some video footage and pictures on some of the work I had to do for the crazy custom cuts. So around the doorway openings, putting wood pieces in between the door openings, and also prepping the edge of some of the flooring because of the way the builder installed the old flooring. It made some extra work for me along the edges to fill gaps in. So enjoy. All right, just giving you an update. I was able to put in the flooring in this little entryway to our master bedroom, tied it in to the existing flooring that I already had in. It went pretty smooth. It was a little difficult cutting around all of these notched areas and being able to fit it in correctly, especially because one of my biggest fears was the board ended up right in the middle of these walls with just an inch of flooring on the outside of this wall. So this entire hallway edge is going to have a 1-inch piece all the way down it, unfortunately. And I'll figure it out. It'll all come out okay. The difficult part though is going to be cutting this doorway, and I'll show you why. Let me get a full piece of wood. Where this other piece is ending right here, you could see that this doorway edge will be in the middle of the board, and this will also be in the middle of a board, not on an edge. There's nothing I could do about that. You can't just cut the edges off of these because they won't snap together correctly. So I'm going to basically have to cut a huge U out of this, like this, 1 inch wide, over 1 inch wide, all the way over. And then the same thing on this side. It won't be as long, but it'll be 1 inch over and then 1 inch. So it's going to be like 2 big U's that I cut out, and then I will have to push it flat straight down to get around both of these walls at the same time. And usually I undercut the door jambs so that you could slide the flooring underneath like this or like this. But because I have 2 undercuts, let me show you what I mean by an undercut. So over here, you could see I undercut, which means I cut the door jamb up higher so that the flooring could actually go underneath it like this, so that you get a nice, finished edge, and there's no, flooring gap. Okay, so here I'm going to explain what happened with the edge of the hallway here. So the way the builder put the baseboard down below the end of the old flooring, you could see there's just like 1.5 inch gap that was left after I pulled all the baseboard off. And because I have to put a 1 inch strip of new flooring along this, it would basically be floating over this gap. So I did have to go to my supply of extra old flooring, cut a bunch of little mini strips, and place them in this gap. And I glued them in with construction glue, and that allowed me to be able to put that 1 inch strip of new flooring on top of this and not worry about it having a lack of support underneath it. So the next area that caused a little bit of a problem to get around is when you're trying to put in a plank along the edge and you only have like a 1 or 1.5 inch gap here. You can't use a normal size tap block like this because it can't get down low enough to tap the piece of planking in. So what I have to do is create a special size tapping block like you see here. It's about 1 inch wide, and then use the pull bar to actually tap it in. So instead of hitting it directly with the hammer, you hit the tap bar, and it will start to lock the plank into the existing plank already on the floor. Work your way down the length of the plank to get a nice clean fit. If it still doesn't snap in automatically, I might hit it a few times, but then go back with the tapping block a second time to get a nice clean seal of this plank against the existing plank, and then it will typically fall down and snap into place. And then I could use the standard tap lock that I use at the end of the plank to move that down to get a nice tight finish against the existing plank on the floor. So now I had to fill in about a 1 inch plus strip along the edge of this wall, just because of how all the boards ended up falling out when I continued out from the other room. So I'm going to have like a small strip on this side, and I'm going to have a small strip on that side on the shorter wall. But tapping these in from the opposite direction have proven to be a little bit of a problem. And I also have to hand cut all these pieces with a jigsaw because the wall's not straight. I know the boards are straight. So for example, down there at that end, it was only about 1 inch of board. By the time I got to here, it was 1.5 inches. And then by the time I got to the end of the second board, I'm up to 1.75 inches. And I'm thinking, at least to the doorway now, that it should be the same. I haven't measured it yet. I'm doing it board by board. But the main thing I wanted to show you is how I did this is, I placed in the small board, and then I use the pull rod, the pull bar. And if I haven't shown this yet, it's basically a metal bar that hooks on the edge of an unfinished edge of the flooring. And then you bang it, and it pulls it into place and snaps it in. I had to also pound this a lot because it's a short piece. It's kind of the opposite direction of how you connect them. So I did have to work on it and push on it a little bit to get it to finally snap in, but it worked. But now to close up this gap, remember I showed you my pounding board. You can't do a pounding board on a little piece. So I created a temporary little pounding board. So it's the same idea. It's just a little piece, and it's short so it doesn't snap in half when I start banging it. And again, I just tap on the end until that piece connects. So that's how that works on the edges. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And for now, the garage is closed.